Hello, everybody, and welcome back to How Come. We have a very exciting episode. You might realize this is not Remy. It's your producer, Charlotte, because this episode is Catch Up with Rem, and I will be interviewing her. And she is our guest for today.
Hello. Thank you for having me, Charlotte.
Oh, you're so welcome.
How come? How come? How come I can't achieve? How come I can't achieve? I'm rolling up my sleeves. I'm rolling up my sleeves. Oh baby, I believe these guests can help. 'Cause I can't do it by myself. I wanna just
Thank you guys who've honestly done an incredible job rating and reviewing and subscribing, joining the Facebook group,
Hell
which is
yeah.
oh my gosh, been amazing.
So fun.
My heart has just been melting.
Also, my inbox has been less full, which I love hearing from you guys, but it's been so cool to see you guys asking questions like, hey, has anybody else experienced this?
Yeah.
And then other people who have experienced that thing, instead of just me being like, you know, maybe you could try this or whatever. Like somebody's like, oh yeah, I actually had delayed ejaculation for a really long time.
Also, we can respond on there and then everyone sees it rather than a bunch of people asking the same questions.
Totally.
And so it's just, you get your responses faster.
Yep.
It's been great.
Yeah.
So please continue to, rate, review, subscribe. It helps us move up in the charts.
Join the Facebook group.
We just found out that we're number 5 in Latvia.
Yes.
Or Estonia.
Estonia. Yeah. Latvia, I think we were number 12.
Yeah. It's wild.
Yeah.
This has gone global.
Woo.
So we said that this week you can ask Remy anything.
Yes.
So we're going to be answering your questions in the beginning and then basically just sum up our biggest takeaways from the season.
There are many.
So many.
We learned a lot.
We really have.
Yeah, and we kind of were just like, let's try to condense all those conversations that we have with people on the street, or when they first hear about the podcast for the first time, or they're like, oh yeah, I can't come and here's why, or whatever. We always put out there was a girl I was talking to in DC after the show, and she's like, yeah, I still haven't come yet. And I was like, okay, but remember what Dan Savage said about the neural pathway? She's like, yes, I do.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about that stuff that
that really just hit home.
Really hit home, and that we want to remind you of
and that we were mind blown about.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so we said you could ask anything.
Anything.
Question number 1. How's Nanny?
That's a nice question. Nanny is great. Thank you for asking. We actually had a bit of a bad week. She was in the hospital for 7 days, and it was mostly while I was away, and then I got back and the apartment was empty.
It was pretty crazy because on last Sunday's episode, it started by being Charlotte's out getting medicine.
Yep.
And basically right after that, she went.
Yeah. So that was scary and sad, but she's back and I'm so happy to have her home. I missed my roommate. She's getting better. Charlotte just taught her some voice exercises so she can get her voice back. She's like, go like this. And Nanny's like, boo.
And she goes, boo,
Boo. So Nanny's good. Thank you guys.
Okay. Question 2. Can you give some advice on how to talk to the guy you're dating about not having had an orgasm and how he can be supportive of that journey without making him insecure for not being able to make you come?
Yes, I can. Okay, so as you know, I've been with Ben the entire time I've been running this podcast. I had another long-term boyfriend before that, and both of them were in on it that I hadn't come. The first boyfriend I only told...
They were in on it.
He was in on it. No, but I only told him 2 years in because that was kind of when I realized that my friends were and stuff. And I kind of said to him, I was like, listen, we've been together for 2 years. I have something to tell you. And it was more like an admission about myself, which I think is the way that you need to view it. It's not about you haven't made me come in 2 years. That is not how to approach it. It's I, Remy, and you, whatever your name is, haven't come my entire life. And I haven't figured myself out. So try to be patient with me and understanding and be on this journey with me and know it's nothing about you. I always say this, I'm sure I've said it on this podcast, but I say it on other ones all the time. Expecting somebody to make you come before you can do it yourself is like handing them a 9-sided Rubik's Cube and being like, figure this out. No one's ever done it. Also, you're naked. So just be like, yeah, this is a me thing. It has nothing to do with you. A lot of women can't figure it out. I love you. And I like you for a lot of other reasons too. It's not just because of what you can do for me sexually. And Yeah. I think start with yourself too, definitely.
Yeah, for sure. Because I mean, for you and Ben, like you had never had one, then did, and now do with him.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
you guys can figure it out together.
we do figure it out together. Yeah.
Okay. Then we have, these are cute. One of them is, can you make a sex ed course for schools? Lol. And how will you teach sex ed to your kids?
Oh, such a good question. Okay, so I don't know if I'm going to have kids because the world keeps getting hotter and I don't want those little babies to go outside.
It's so hot.
So hot. Yeah, I don't know. But if I were to have a kid, I think I would want to give them as much information as possible without making them the weirdo in school who's going to tell their friends sexy stuff.
Yeah.
So I would probably say to them, hey, these are your private parts, and they are for pooping and peeing, and you can play with them and stuff. Sometimes maybe a good feeling will happen. That's totally okay, but it's a private feeling until you're older, and then we'll talk about that then. A lot of older people can make each other have the feeling, but you have to trust the person and feel comfortable with them. I don't know how old this kid I have is at the time of this talk, but I mean, Charlotte knows I've been semi-writing this like children's book called What Is This Feeling and Is It Okay? I don't know if it'll ever get published or whatever, but it's basically like telling children that masturbate. I don't know. We could get like a lot of backlash. But yeah, but, I think like everybody poops. It's another thing that your body does. And like so many people just grow up thinking it's like a weird thing. Like they think,
I think the shame is the worst part of it.
Like that's the whole part. It's like, it's okay. Of course it's okay if it's just you. If it's with somebody else, they might not be ready and that's not okay. So keep it to yourself until you know that it's okay.
Like very much open dialogue about
And you
sex.
can always come to me. I'm your mom.
Yeah.
Kid. Come talk to me.
Kiddo. Okay. What kind of birth control do you have / have you used?
Okay. Great question. We need to do a birth control episode at some point. Because it is important. So I've been on a few different types of birth control. Currently, I am on the IUD. I have one inside, the copper one that doesn't release hormones.
Oh, wow. I didn't even realize that you had the copper one.
What do you think?
I thought you had the same one that I have.
What do you have?
Kylena.
No.
Oh.
How long does yours last?
Up to 5 years.
Mine's 3, I think.
Well, now the reason I'm having this like eureka moment is that's why you had such a rough first month.
Yeah. So I did have a really rough first month, and that is kind of common with the copper ones, which I opted for because all of the birth control I had done before was really hormone based, and it really fucked with my moods. Like I'm already a moody little bitch. I don't need to add that on top of it. I was on Yasmin for like from 16 to probably 22, maybe 23. And then I stopped it when I broke up with my ex. I was on no birth control for a while, got pregnant. Don't do that. Was using pull-out. God, that's the worst. Don't use that method.
Don't do that.
Don't do that. And then I got this IUD because I was bad at taking the pill every day.
And condoms. You didn't?
I did condoms
have all the time.
No, I did condoms with people that I didn't know really well or what I wasn't sure were tested. I didn't have a lot of random sex when I wasn't on the pill, except with Ben, because I was obsessed with him. But yeah, then I got the IUD after our little pregnancy incident, and the copper one, it made me bleed a lot. I had to like wear an adult diaper for like a month. It was
sexy.
Hilarious. But now I'm obsessed with it. And one of the things I will say about the IUD is you might have to get it trimmed. I had to get it clipped a few times, maybe 3 times, because Ben kept feeling it with his little poker on my little poker. Yeah, the copper little hangs down.
Yeah.
Touch their peener.
With regular ones too, there's a string.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So yeah, that's what I'm on, and
I do
I'm
think
sticking
the IUD
to it.
Is the best.
I think it's amazing.
I think a lot of people too, when they're on the pill and then they stop having sex. I've heard a lot of my friends be like, I have to take this thing every day. And
your birth control is a daily reminder that
you're
no one's
not
fucking
banging.
you. Yeah. And it's like 7 p.m. Time to remember I'm single.
Totally. I mean, IUD. It's great.
IUD. If you guys have been to one of my stand-up shows, you know my IUD. Oh, also, can I just say this? Okay. A lot of you have been coming to my shows. Thank you so much for coming to my shows. My comedy shows, like some companions will randomly be at a comedy show and they're like, oh, I listen to How Come or whatever. And then they come up to me after and they're like, I had no idea you were actually funny. Like at stand, and like not in so many, but like at least 10 people said that to me over the course of this week. They were like, oh yeah, we're so surprised that you're actually like good at stand-up. Like, you guys, I'm a stand-up. I started in stand-up. I started this podcast because I wanted to come, but like
It blew up.
yeah, like thank you. I'm not a sex therapist though, and like I guess I'm not that funny on here, but I'm really good at comedy. So please come and don't be shocked that I have a career.
Okay. Oh, this is actually pretty similar. Wow. Did you ever expect this pod to help so many people, both men and women and everyone in between?
Oh, thank you for the kind comment. No, I did not. No, a little bit.
I knew.
A little bit. Honestly, I say a little bit. I knew, especially after our initial conversation when I was like, I feel so like weird and alone or whatever. And then Charlotte came back to me with like her 2 weeks worth of research and she's like, the numbers say you're not alone. And I'm like,
My calculations.
my calculations say this is a very common problem. But I did not expect it to. I mean, I expected people to be curious about it, definitely. But I didn't expect it to actually like change lives.
Yeah.
I didn't expect to have 300 women come
And over that.
for their first time. Yeah, over
It's
that
wild.
now. Yeah.
I know. And it's honestly like every day and every message, it's like I feel like that's our fuel too. A lot of the time, just like hearing people be like, my marriage was failing. And then we started listening and our sex life has gotten better. Like our marriage is back on track. Like it's, who knew?
Yeah.
But it's been insane.
Especially because my journey, I guess, ended so quick. Not ended, but like my goal was reached so quickly that I was like, okay, cool. Like we did it.
Yeah.
You know, but then those messages keep coming in and I'm like, oh, no, we're doing it. We're still doing it.
It's interesting too that you said goal versus journey, because like we talk about all the time how much we have changed too.
Yeah.
Though, since like just because that has technically been accomplished doesn't mean that like growth stopped.
No, but it was like the goal of the podcast.
Right.
I was like, okay, I did it.
No,
but now I'm like, okay, no, there's a lot of other methods for growth. And you guys are like learning things that, and like picking up stuff that we didn't even get in the episodes. And I'm like, yeah.
And just how sex interacts with so many different aspects of life.
Totally. If you can speak up in the bedroom, you can speak up in the boardroom.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
Okay. Since coming, when do you struggle most to come? If you do, but I assume everybody does.
When my toys are dead. No, I'm just kidding. Yes.
I'm just kidding. No, I'm not.
No, I'm not. No, my Satisfier died last night while I was masturbating. It was really sad, but I'll plug it back in.
Grabbed
a Sweet Vibrations toy, and it was fine. I still struggle during partnered sex, during oral sex. I'm still really not there with that. Ben and I have been trying this thing called the Kevin method. It's this thing I read on cosmopolitan.com. And basically it's like licking the vag from the side instead of from underneath, because I don't like to be out in the breeze.
Sure.
As I've said before, I don't like my legs open. So this way you can like kind of have your legs straight and then they open up the vagina and then they lick it sideways, the clit or whatever. But I realized I'm still not comfortable with allowing somebody to focus on me for such a long time without me grabbing for them.
Yeah.
I think a lot of girls struggle with this. And so with him, what we've been working on recently, I'm like, I just said to him one day, I was like, I think I just need you to like finger me for a while and kiss me for a while, and like me just grow accustomed to like letting you do stuff for a while, and me not having that guilt of like, oh, it's been such a long time, like I should really like focus on him now. So that's something that I've been working on, because it's tough to get out of your fucking head.
100%.
I also like, everyone's been asking about like, oh, can you do it internally with Ben? Like, we've had several times where like, I mean, like most of the time I will be using a toy while he's banging me. And like, it has worked maybe like, I don't know, 20 times I can think of that it's been like, oh, this like mind blowing, like we're both coming at the same time, using a toy or whatever. But most of the time, even that is difficult because like of the movement when you're having sex, like it kind of like throws things out of place. And like for a while, like he was trying to use the toy and stuff. And I'm like, no, like we're not there yet. Like you need to give it to me. I need to be holding it. I need to be kind of in control. So all of this has been like a learning process. I kind of jokingly, but not jokingly, put on the Instagram the other day, like, stop asking me how to come from just a dick alone. Like, I've never done it and you're making me feel bad. Like, you're not making me feel bad because I ultimately know the stats that like only like 8 to 25% of women can come from just a dick alone. Like most people need clitoral stimulations, whether it's internal or they need it at the same time. And so I'm like, stop asking me about that and stop striving for just that. Like, you don't need to be this like narrative of like, oh, a woman can come from just insertion alone. Like that would make you very special.
Yeah.
And unfortunately I'm not very special yet. No, but also even if I'm not, like there shouldn't be this hierarchy of like, oh, well you can use a toy and you know, but can you with a like, let it be.
No whole hierarchy. Definitely.
What's happening?
The ladies are making
so much noise. There's so many people here taking care of Nanny.
Okay, where do you see this going forward? I think you've cultivated a really powerful platform, and it seems like it will just keep growing.
Oh, that's nice. I think we would like this to be a TV show, right, Char?
Yes.
I think it would be a great scripted series, so I think we're going to try and put our efforts into writing that. We are looking to write a book about all the things that we've learned and can give you so that those who don't understand podcasts can write a book. And yeah, I mean, I'd like us to be able to talk to colleges and help schools create like an education course that's more comprehensive and really like can get people talking about important stuff earlier. That has been a little difficult because like technically like we can't say this stuff to anyone who's 17 and below, but most sex ed courses are happening a lot earlier, so it'll be an interesting thing. But I think for us personally, like we're definitely going to be doing a lot of How Come live shows. The Stand, my home club in New York City, just opened up again, and we're going to be doing the first live show on
August 14th,
7 p.m. at the Stand.
That's a Wednesday. 16th. Happy Hump Day.
Ooh, that's perfect.
It really is.
So yeah, we're going to do live podcasts where you can come for a little intimate setting. I think that the room that we're doing it is only 60 seats, so like we'll be able to do like a meet and greet and hang out after and ask questions to the audience and like really like get you guys immersed in the experience and like let you be a part of it.
So
I'm
get
also
your tickets fast. When
get
those
your
come
tickets,
out. Because we did sell out.
I think the link is already up at this point. Yeah. So the Stand NYC, we'll probably put it below in the about of this episode. So yeah, the Stand show I'm really excited for. It's going to be 2 comics and then they perform and then I sit down with them and talk about their sex lives and their sets and all that fun stuff. So that'll hopefully be a monthly show in NYC, but then we will also take it on the road, especially when we wrap up this season. We can travel a lot more and we want to come everywhere, but we have to decide which places to come to by how many of you want us to come there. So when you leave our reviews on iTunes and stuff, or you leave comments on Instagram, like just be like, come to Melbourne or come to Melbourne or come to Kansas or come to Portland or wherever you want us to come. Review, rate, subscribe on iTunes, and then write it there. Be like, I love this podcast. Remy, please come to Kalamazoo. And then we can try and make it happen. And we'll release all of our dates on RemyCasimir.com and HowComePodcast.com.
Yes.
I'd also like to write a woman show. That's kind of in the process that Charlotte and I have been noodling on, called How Came. And it's just like about the journey and like little excerpts from my diary, maybe video blogs that I did complaining about sex and boys back in the day.
The diaries
are insane.
Are whack.
I know. Everything's whack. But yeah, I think we would just like to keep it going. Like, I know in the beginning I was like, oh, let's just finish it. But we've only learned more and like reached more people.
And getting to more people.
Yeah.
One listener said, I'm masturbating every night until I come before bed. Is that unhealthy?
No, I don't think so.
No.
Right? Like, it sounds good to me.
Yeah.
Somebody was telling me recently that she doesn't have dreams because she masturbates every night. So she's like, yeah, I've used up all my energy. And then I just have really good
So
sleep.
tired.
Yeah.
No, Dr. E did say, like, it's actually good for you to masturbate.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you think that it's not good for you.
Yeah, like if it becomes like a mentally like this is part of my routine and I can't do it without the routine, like that kind of becomes a little bit of an addiction.
Yeah, like any dependency is not good.
But if it's just like, oh, this is my bedtime ritual and like
And I'm horny.
and I'm horny and this works for me, then that's working for you.
Definitely. Is sex better with weed/other substances?
It depends on the person and the day. Sometimes
true.
weed sex can be really nice and chill and so vibey and flowy, and sometimes
You feel a lot.
you fall asleep. Sometimes drunk sex can be sexy and passionate and fun, and sometimes
like no inhibitions.
you throw up. I've had great experiences with both. I've had great experiences with sober sex, obviously. I know a lot of people are like afraid of that, especially with new people, but like sober sex can be great too.
Yeah.
It's really whatever like is working for you and working in that moment. If you're in a situation with a new person and you're like, I don't really do well with weed and new people, maybe don't have sex with them while you're high, but if you're like, oh, I'm with a new person and I like to have a glass of champagne or two or a glass of wine, and like that just relaxes me.
Champagne. Are you on The Bachelor?
I'm on Love Island.
You're on the Hideaway?
Yeah.
Sexy.
Yeah, whatever works for you.
I totally agree.
And that could be the same with masturbation too. Like you can masturbate drunk and high and sober and just see which.
That's actually a really good idea to like try it out.
Try it out
yourself.
alone. Yeah. And then be like, welcome to my world.
Weed alone though. If you're not used to it, can be a risk.
Be like 3 personalities in your head being like, what are you doing?
Stop it.
Stop
No,
it.
she's fine.
No, this is nice. You love
Do you
doing
remember that when
What?
you had an entire
conversation with
fight
myself?
with yourself? You were like, I think I'm going to do it. No, don't. Like,
I've had many a mirror conversation. And one of them was like, I was wondering if Ben liked this girl more than me or whatever. And I was looking at myself in the mirror and I'm like, she's so much prettier than us and she's better at social media or whatever. And then other me looked at me and I was like, stop doing this to us. We're all we have.
you and me till the end, baby.
But we're all if we don't like us, who will? No one.
So true. Okay, so like, what are alternatives used for the mess left from squirt while having one with a partner?
Ooh, okay. So Buck Angel told us about this. There's like sheets that are good for squirt. I haven't actually looked into any of them yet, but we probably...
The Liberator, I believe it's called.
Okay, cool. Maybe we should get an affiliate link with them.
I've reached out.
Okay, cool. We do have an affiliate link, though, with Companion, which are
great.
sex towels by Anna Ray, and they're called Companions.
Yeah,
like,
how wild
perfect is that? So if you go to our website, howcomepodcast.com, and shop our partners, you can go use the affiliate link down there. She's got towels for, like, cleanup, for, like, just jizz, and then towels you can put under your butt, and they really work. I really enjoy them.
And you'll get 10% off.
Yeah.
Which is sick. Can you talk about your journey coming with Ben via penetration? I'm desperate.
You guys.
There it is again.
There it is again.
And before you even answer that, the next one is how to come without a toy.
Okay. Listen, how to come without a toy is gonna take more work. And that's the kind of thing I'm not trying to do. But that's me.
Yeah.
I'm a lazy person. I'm a lazy masturbator. I will probably use a wheelchair years before it's necessary. But I have had one manual orgasm. And it just took a really long time. So if you want to dedicate the time and you really find it very important, and it is very important to you, get lube, lay down, get a towel. Get some music or some audio porn or some other type of porn. diversify your porn portfolio.
Yeah.
Look up tips and tricks. There are tips and tricks to be found on the internet.
Definitely.
Like that Kevin method I was talking about, like looks like that stuff like that up. O School, we had Andrea Barica on last season, O.School. They give tips about female masturbation. Go to a female masturbation class if you want to. I went with Lola Jean last season.
And she got an A+.
And I got an A+. No, I got a C. And I also got a disruptive.
A for effort?
A for effort. And what's another thing? Oh, there's a great website you have to pay for. Emma Watson speaks about it a lot, and it is called OMG Yes, and they give masturbation tips for manual stuff. So don't ask me. Go to those places.
How's life?
Oh, man.
That's a doozy.
That's a doozy. Okay, I'll talk about it. I'm so depressed, you guys. I like Charlotte and I are both kind of going through it. I don't mean to like put you under the bus too, but we've been having a rough season to the point that I even asked Charlotte if it would be okay if I went to a mental institution, because I was like, I really don't feel sound. I don't feel grounded. I don't feel like I should be leading this group of people that I don't know that I can tell them the best things all the time. I'm really, I have a bad case of imposter syndrome where I think anything I've earned is not deserved.
Or is, there's like when people say like, great job, it's like, oh, I'd help. Or,
exactly. Yeah. Oh, this podcast is really taking off. I always see this negative side that I'm like, well,
we do that all the time. Like I could be doing more.
We could be doing more. And like, we look at the other people in our lives who are like, doing similar things or doing completely different things or started out at similar places, and then I compare and contrast myself with them all the time, and it's
Unhealthy.
Been a constant struggle, just reminding myself that I am good and I'm okay and there's only one me, but sometimes I get very scared, and I have felt a few times this year that I just didn't want to be here anymore, which is sad. But I think once I said it on that Katya episode, so many of you guys reached out and were like, we felt the same way. And just not feeling alone in that aspect anymore either feels really good. And like, I know I'm not alone because I have other like I'm close with comics that are similar, but there always just feels something, and family that's similar, but there always feels something specific to you that you're like, and me specifically, that I'm like, I'm not giving enough. I'm not doing enough. I'm not helping enough. I'm not nice enough. I don't care enough.
Yeah.
And then it becomes this massive weight of, or it just feels like it's all or nothing.
Yeah.
Where now I'm learning like, okay, just take one thing at a time. Like write down what's everything that's stressing me out right now. Put it into 2 columns of what are the things I can fix and things I have no control over. And then you try and slowly work at the things that you can fix. And the things you have no control over, you kind of have to just be like, fuck it. And like, it's fine. But yeah, sometimes life has gotten really scary. I've even ended my relationship with Ben a few times because I've said to him, I don't want you to have to deal with somebody who has these emotional issues. Like, I'll find myself screaming at him sometimes over stuff that I'm like, oh my God, the room is messy. And like, this is all your fault, or I didn't go to this event and it's on you. But it's like, no, it's not your fault. It's me.
Yeah.
Remy's not being good. And I'm just blaming who's ever closest to me.
But that's like a huge change too. Like,
what do you mean?
I don't think I'd ever heard you even say this kind of stuff like 2 years ago. Like having that self-reflection of like, it's me projecting. Like,
Yeah. Well, yeah. So there was like a week that we broke up because I was like, I don't want you to have to deal with somebody who's so mean. And also somebody who, like, if you love and one day they don't exist anymore, like, you have to deal with that. Like, that makes me so sad. And he was like, well, you need to talk to people more if this is how you're really feeling. So I'm doing it, and I'm telling you guys, and I'm gone back to therapy.
Yay.
And
everyone should have
everybody
a therapist.
should. Yeah, I've been talking to a lot of companions about, they're like, oh, I tried therapy, it didn't really work. Yeah, sometimes it doesn't. It's like relationships don't work. If you don't find the right boyfriend, you're going to think all relationships are bad. No, like I had so many different bad therapists at different points in my life. Like you have to find the one that's right for you.
Definitely.
There are apps too if you can't afford that. There's ones where you can literally talk to with it, like just to get the feeling out, because sometimes what makes the feeling bigger is just keeping it inside.
Definitely.
And then it's like this seed and this pit that grows and grows and grows and then eventually takes you over.
Yeah, and you don't have to have something like so wrong to go to therapy either. It can be just like a great backboard to have someone who's like very neutral and 100% has your back.
And it's nice to know that like a lot of people feel the way that you do. Like
Definitely.
That's what I was saying to one therapist. I was like, this can't be just me. And she was like, no, this is a very specific feeling. And I was like, okay, then you're not the right therapist.
Yeah.
Because if you're making me feel like I'm the only person in the world
That's
that feels
horrible.
like this, I don't know how we can progress.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, no, I mean, I think talking about this stuff really does hit home for me. And I didn't realize, but in college, I was so horribly depressed.
Yeah.
Like, really bad. And I didn't want to, like, admit it to myself even. I didn't do anything about it until like a year after, and finally did. And really, like, we say this all the time, but like any disease, like like whether it's heart disease or diabetes, like if there's a chemical imbalance in your brain, you take medication, and therapy obviously helps. Like, you can get better. And I mean, in the news, we see so much shit, like horrible shit of suicides. You never see the stories of, guy, 45, decided not to kill himself.
Yeah.
You never see that.
Yeah.
And that is happening every day. And we do need to be more vocal about it. And so, I mean, I feel like I've been really vocal about, like with my friends at least, about mental health and just being like, I have never really like been happier, kind of. And like, I feel like it's important to realize
being open about being sad. You've never been happier.
That too. Yeah. Well, I mean, I used to be super depressed. Now I'm more just anxious, but most days are pretty great. I'll have like a few that are terrible, but otherwise, I think it's so important to realize like there's another side.
Yeah.
And it can be really great. And a lot of people are going through the same shit. So like share it with your friends too, because you really don't even know sometimes what people are going through.
Charlotte even has a tattoo that's like become pretty popular symbol of suicide awareness.
Yeah.
It's a semicolon, and the meaning
I
is,
love grammar too, so it's so perfect.
but
the meaning is, so a semicolon basically is used because you've got two independent clauses, which is like they stand alone as sentences, complete sentences. So you could have ended the first sentence with a period, but instead you put a semicolon. You have this whole
to continue
other sentence on
your
the
life.
other side. Yeah.
And yeah, I think you've recently helped out a friend who was struggling and had always felt alone, and then you kind of let him into your world, and he was like, wow, I'm not the only one.
A few this year.
Yeah.
Like best friends too.
Yeah.
And it's only made us all like much closer.
That's what's been wild about this podcast too, is some of my closest friends, I didn't discover things about them until they were on the podcast or until they heard a specific episode and then called me about something and they were like, yeah, no, I'm not coming, or like I lost my orgasm or whatever it was. Like, it's just been really cool to open up this conversation that everyone's felt like they couldn't. A bunch of conversations that they felt like they couldn't.
Many.
Yeah. This is a little bit unrelated, but it's also like you're saying, like you never see the stories of the guy who decided not to.
Yeah.
Lily and I were talking about on the We Really Love Island, Where Are They Now for season 2. Malin, one of the contestants, lost a baby recently.
Oh, it's horrible.
Like the baby was a month old and then it passed away. And she's maintained all of her or she kept up all of her posts during, like, I'm pregnant. This is me in 3 months. This is me at 6 months. We're so excited for this baby.
I want to cry.
This is the new baby. This is, whatever. And then this is, our baby is sick. We lost our baby or whatever. But she's like, I know, it's so sad. Oh, Charlotte. It's really bad.
So sad.
But also she's using that platform to be like, it's so important not to erase that, year and that few months that was so important, because so many women do go through that process, and then and they do erase that stuff, and then it's like, oh, the struggle was never there. Like, the struggle is there, the struggle is real, and there are other people who can help and understand.
Definitely.
Charlotte's crying.
I am crying. I don't even cry ever anymore. Literally, this fucking podcast.
Yeah.
It's the only thing I've cried about. Actually, I did cry about Love Island recently.
Oh my God. Yeah.
No spoilers though. Anyhow, this one, I don't know if we can really answer this one, but how do you increase sexual desire and satisfaction while on SSRIs, like Prozac, for example?
Okay. Ooh, yeah, that's kind of related to the depression conversation. And I wanted to say too, I used to be really resistant to going on my SSRIs, my Lexapro, which is an antidepressant. I thought
And anti-anxiety.
But I thought that made me weak, and that would have made me like clinically insane or whatever if I admitted that I needed like medical help with like a mental problem or whatever. And my therapist at the time said the most amazing thing. She was like, what you're trying to do, navigating the world through depression, is like trying to climb Everest with ankle weights on. Oh. She's like, take your medicine and take your ankle weights off.
Yeah.
You know, life is hard. Climbing the mountain is hard enough. Take your ankle weights off.
Totally.
And I know a lot of people are hesitant to start SSRIs because they can stunt your libido and stuff. I have heard that Wellbutrin is one that does that less than the other ones. So maybe if you are on Prozac, which is the example this person gave, ask your doctor if switching to Wellbutrin could be right for you. Sound like an ad.
I was just going to say that.
Sound like one of those little depression, like with a sad circle walking around. Like, can you not get a boner and you're upset?
What I don't understand is like, ask your doctor if this is right for you. It's like, why isn't my doctor telling me what's right for me? They're my fucking doctor.
Yeah. But yeah, definitely talk to your doctor if your SSRIs are inhibiting your libido. Like, nobody wants to suddenly be happy but not be able to fuck. Like,
yeah. That doesn't always happen.
It doesn't always happen, but it is a side effect. And sometimes one of the things is more important than the other.
Definitely.
If you're too depressed and you're thinking of killing yourself, you'll never come again.
Yeah.
So maybe take your SSRIs for 6 months, level out, and then get back into sexy.
Yeah. We had a guest this season who went on them and came.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who are some comedians that you admire?
Ooh,
this is a fun one.
That's such a fun question.
Yeah, I like these fun.
I admire so many comedians. I love them all so much. Who do I like? Okay, we love Ellen. We love Ellen DeGeneres. We love John Mulaney. We love Wanda Sykes.
I want to caveat the Ellen with, we don't watch her show, but her 2001 special was like, oh my God, changed our lives, I feel like.
For comedy's sake. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Ellen show, I don't know. They dance, but her comedy is great. Nick Swardson was a big inspiration to me. Comedy Central half hours. Pablo Francisco. Mitch Hedberg. Oh my God. I love Mitch Hedberg. Rest in peace.
I'm sorry, I'm like jumping in and screaming. I'm just like, our childhood is flashing back to me, and I'm like getting so excited. Like, I see us on the Dell computer.
I met Pablo Francisco this year. I went to a show of his, and I was like, you inspired me to start stand-up. And he was like, no way. Like,
so wild.
Obviously,
3 mics, Neil Brennan.
Love Neil Brennan.
Incredible.
Yeah. And sometimes we're close to his podcast, How Neil Feel, on the charts, and I freak out. Amy Poehler, Tina Fey. I know those aren't stand-ups, but they have my heart.
Oh, yeah. They just said comedians.
The entire writing staff.
SNL 2006.
Yep.
Kristen Wiig.
Yes.
Fred Armisen. Bill Hader.
Adam Sandler's new special. Oh. That made me cry.
He
the
always
end
does
with
that.
Chris Farley.
He pulls a click
he
on
clicks,
us.
Yeah.
You're going to laugh.
No, you're going to cry. But I like that. Him and I have the same birthday, so we're like very about like laughing and crying.
So is Neil Brennan.
Yeah.
Okay. How do you ask for... Back to sex. How do you ask for oral sex if your partner only likes receiving and not giving?
Oh. Okay. A lot of people like to receive and not give. That is a very normal thing in sex and in life. You know, people just like the easy thing. And a lot of people who don't like giving, it's because they're insecure about their abilities to give.
That was a really mature answer. Wow.
I could say he's a piece of shit. I'm assuming it's a guy when I say, or she's a piece of shit. I've actually had one of the guests from season 1 recently told me he broke up with his ex because she wouldn't give blowjobs. Not that that was the only reason, but I don't think anybody particularly loves giving oral unless you're in like the moment when you really love it and like whatever. But asking for it is important, and asking for it, I think, when you're not in the throes of sex is important.
Definitely.
Having a conversation beforehand. This is what I've been doing with Ben, because it's not like Ben doesn't want to go down on me. He does. But muscle memory wise, he knows that every time he's tried to, I've tapped his little head up and I've made him, return. And they're not going to do something that you haven't asked
responded
for
well to
or responded
also.
well
Yeah.
to. So next time you're just like having lunch or something, be like, babe, you know what would be really nice? Like, I
would be like super hot.
It would be super hot. Like if next time before we have sex, you go down on me for like 15 minutes and
maybe start with like 5.
Yeah, whatever it is.
Ease them into it.
But just present the idea and be like, and I would like if maybe like you could, like I've said this. I said it to Ben. I was like, could you maybe suck on my thighs? Like, like focus on other areas. Just stuff that you think might be interesting. Be like, I read about this method online or heard about it on the podcast.
Blame it on us.
Blame it on us. Yeah.
I think what you were also saying, I want to add on to, because it was very mature. I would also ask why they don't like giving. Yeah. Because that's very important.
Oh my God. I used to think Ben had a problem with pubes. No, he just wants me to shower.
No, but
he just desperately wants me to shower.
Remy, shower. Shower.
No.
Everyone shower.
I'll do it pre-sex now.
That's good.
It's like, it's a sexy thing now. Like, it's not just like, oh, I'm showering to stand here and be bored and be clean. I'm like, I'm showering to get my box ate.
But it's also like talking about it can be sexy. Like showering can be sexy, whatever. But anyway, all I was saying is that there could be a very good reason they don't want to, whether it's trauma or something. Or it could be that they're selfish as people. Mm-hmm. And
if you, during that conversation, are like, I really like this. And he's like, no.
Or she is
like, no. Then be like, okay, well then maybe I don't really feel that comfortable doing it to you anymore if you're not enjoying it.
Right.
Like if you still want to, that's great. Do you. But if you're like, I feel like I'm giving and not getting, stop giving.
Yeah, definitely. Put yourself first.
Yeah.
More about how to orgasm for the first time when you can't.
And I've even said that to Ben during sex recently. Like he'll be like, oh, suck my dick, because he like is like, oh, like this is the point where we do that. And I'm like, you know what, actually I'm not at the place yet. I see that you are much closer. We need to keep working on me.
She comes first, baby.
She comes first, and then I'll take care of you.
Yeah. So this one said more about how to orgasm for the first time when you can't.
Go back, listen to the episodes, do the assignments, do them over and over again, combine the assignments, maybe sit down with yourself for 30 minutes, do the over the panties thing while listening to audio porn, combine assignments from season 2 and season 1, like
get that girl's best friend.
Get the girl's best friend from Sweet Vibrations, use our promo code HowCome for 15% off. Get the Satisfier, get some lube, get all of the toys, and
none of the pressure.
Yeah, take the pressure off. Just try to have a really good experience.
Yeah, it is the journey.
It's the journey.
Was Ben in the picture when you were trying to come for the first time? Was he supportive?
Not for the first time because I was a child, and no. I guess we already kind of covered that. My ex was the first one I ever opened up about it with. Ben, I told, and my ex was supportive too. They both were like, oh, this is something like we need to work on. Nobody was like, oh, that's not important.
Yeah.
And we did try things, but again, that Rubik's Cube example, it was really about Remy figuring out Remy before I could let anyone in.
Yeah. How do G-spot orgasms vary from clitoral in feeling or internal versus external?
I'm glad that you amended internal versus external versus clitoral and G-spot, because they are both located on the clitoris.
The clitoris is huge. Let us remind you.
Huge.
It is inside.
Huge. Ew.
Huge.
to me, I know everybody feels differently. To me, an internal one, okay, an external one to me feels like when you get the shivers on your arm, but times like 18. Like it's like, oh, and then your butt clenches and shit, and like
Toes curl.
And your toes curl, and like your whole like little pelvic area like goes forward and like feels like it's going through a wall. For an internal one, I feel like somebody has just released a hot tub and it's overflowing.
It's
like
hotter.
It's hotter, and it's like,
and I don't mean sexier, like physically warmer.
Yeah, it's warm and feels like something's like bubbling over, like a volcano is kind of like oozing over.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. It just feels like a rumble from below, like seismic activity.
Oh, that reminds me of that really cute digital short. Do you remember about the volcano?
I love you.
I love you.
So cute. That makes me cry.
I know.
I have a dream I hope will come true, that you're here with me and I'm there with you.
It's so nice. This is the first time I've like ever let you sing.
Above, to send me someone to love.
It's really great if you haven't seen it.
Did anybody cry because my voice was so beautiful?
Remy used to cry because her voice was so beautiful to her.
While we were playing Mario Kart, I sang a song as Wario about how I was going to win someday, and I would sob and never win. Anyway, moving on.
Never. I would always
You
win.
would always win.
Okay. So this says what has been the most interesting thing that you've learned from the male guests on the podcast or about males in general because of the show?
Mm-hmm.
We'll probably get to that.
Yeah, I think with the guys, the most interesting thing about men in general that I've learned is that they don't have all the answers. Like, I feel like we were growing up thinking like, oh, guys are like the ones who like sex, are better at sex and know what they're doing. And that's not the case. And they're just as insecure as we are. And that is really affirming, because then you feel like you're on the same page. And
it can be just as hard for them
and
to
it can be just as hard. Yeah.
It really depends. If you were starting the pod all over, is there anything you would do differently / definitely keep the same?
Yes. Huge. That's a great question. I know who submitted that question. Robin Kennedy. Hello, our little
Robin.
companion in New Zealand. One of the things that I would definitely keep the same is the assignments. I thought those were really, really helpful. It did make posting difficult because we were doing only once every 2 weeks the episodes were coming out. But looking back on it, if I could start it differently, I would remove the stress from that, because I really just wanted the podcast to take off.
Yeah.
And like become so popular, because I had seen these other podcasts doing the same thing at the same time. And I would like to remind myself, if I could do it again, don't look at other people. Don't keep your eyes on your own work and just enjoy your experience. There was a lot of times that I didn't book certain guests because they were being booked on other podcasts. And I was like, oh, I don't want to seem like a copycat. Or times that I wouldn't post certain polls because I was like, I don't want to seem like I'm copying theirs. But like, we're all having similar ideas and we're all having similar conversations, and most likely people wouldn't be making those connections. It was just my own neuroses.
Yeah, I mean, and there are always going to be people doing better than you and worse than you.
Yeah.
So like comparing is not healthy.
Totally. So yeah, those are the things. And yeah, I might have invited some guests on earlier, but I'm very proud of our episodes, and I think they're like kind of perfect. Like, I think everything has happened the way it was meant to happen.
I agree. What more do you want to learn about your erotic capacity?
I have recently asked Ben if he would go to an NSFW party with me and be a voyeur at a sex party. I would like to experiment with BDSM eventually, safely. And yeah, I mean, maybe not in this relationship because we're not trying to be open, but I would like to do group sex at some time. I think that would be really fucking fun.
Yeah.
And I would like...
Do you have a preference
of
the components of the group?
I would like them to be all types of people. Melissa Vitale's story about her first trip to NSFW was so inspiring to me, because she's like, oh, I didn't go intending to do anything, and then I ended up being like the center of attention and everyone was just doing a bunch of stuff to me. I would love to be at the point where I can just accept that.
Yeah.
Like, not just from one
like
person,
the emotional
but from
space too.
many people. Yeah.
Okay, the next one has a few parts. Would you offer a state of your orgasms? How do you have them? What toys work for you? What are the strategies from all your assignments that you still use actively? And what more do you want to explore? Sort of answer that last one.
Yeah. I use a Satisfier and I use a Sweet Vibrations, Girl's Best Friend and Perfect Match. A
lot of suction.
Pretty
the air pulse
consistently.
ones.
Yeah, I like suction, air pulse. I'm usually on my back with my legs crossed over each other. That really helps me. I had one person write in really early in the podcast saying that he was a trans man and could only come crossing his legs, and was that okay? And then I crossed my legs and it made it so much better. So I was like, oh buddy, it's okay. I also really like to be on my stomach.
Yeah. With the Traveler,
with the
one.
Pro Traveler. Yeah. Yeah, I don't love being out in the breeze, so it is difficult if we're doggy style. Like I like to have sex that way, but I don't like my legs. For some reason, having my legs open and using a toy doesn't work well. They have to be more together.
Cool.
And that's me.
Remy.
Yeah.
Have you found new ways to come that you think might help people that have not made it yet? We need more orgasm-driven episodes.
I'm trying, guys. I don't know what else to say. You use a flat tongue when doing oral, because Ben tried that recently, and I really like that.
Yeah, mouth and finger simultaneously.
Oh, yeah. Who was saying that recently in an episode that
what?
That somebody wasn't using? It was you?
Yeah, it was me.
Yeah, okay. It's like, that's ridiculous. Use fingers and mouths.
Yeah.
Oh my God. This guy I used to hook up with used to go down or pretend to go down on me, but he'd like lick his finger and pretend that was his tongue. And I'm like, I know what you're doing. Like, I can feel you and see you, you psycho.
That's wild. All right. So we've hit all the questions.
Amazing.
Incredible. A lot of them also touched on things we actually were going to bring up anyway.
Cool.
So I guess in terms of like major takeaways, I guess kind of with the question, what have we learned about guys? Like,
yeah.
I
was going to bring back to that Dan Savage thing of neural pathways, because people are always like, oh yeah, like I've been trying for 2 weeks or whatever it is, and I haven't come yet or whatever. Dan Savage was like, boys are carving those neural pathways from a really early age, which is essentially like those things in your brain. They're grooves that you got to carve out and like practice. Yeah. Pull out your penis, let your body build up some muscle memory, and your mind build up some relaxing energy or sexy energy where like you're in that place to like be there. A lot of guys have been doing it for years, whereas a lot of the women on this podcast are like, even Maria Del Russo, who's a sex writer, was like, I only masturbated the first time when she was 16. So you can't expect...
she only came at
21.
21.
So give yourself time. It's like running a marathon. You got to practice. You can't just be like Charlotte and run a half marathon on a whim. But some people can. I guess that was me.
Well, I did.
You know what? No.
I shouldn't.
Now that I'm thinking about it, I have been carving neural pathways the whole time. Like, I was always touching myself. I was always experimenting. It just, I needed that last straw that was going to break the camel's back, which was like a clitoral suction device. Because also, I've got such a tiny clit.
Yeah.
I didn't realize how tiny it was. And I didn't realize also that the hood is different from the clit itself. Like, I'd been looking at the hood the whole time and like rubbing it, but you have to pick up the hood and then bop that other thing in the head.
I had no idea either until this podcast.
Yeah.
Not a clue.
So we've got small clits, you guys.
I think what you said too about like, literally it's muscle memory. You need to practice. And one thing when you were on a panel that was said was that like the more you orgasm, the more orgasmic you become.
Yeah.
And I thought that was so interesting and so true. Just like the more you do it, the easier it becomes. Like your sex life, my sex life has changed massively.
So much. Yeah. Also, the Jared Freed thing was a thing that we learned about guys, like how we were talking about vulnerability and how they don't know as much as we thought and stuff, but also that they have the same amount of shame to certain things. Like he was saying, like, I say that I like to have a finger up my ass, and the same women who are like, woo, to vibrators are like, ew. Like, we can't expect guys to be so open and allow us to be our fullest selves and not shame us if we're going to shame them.
Definitely.
About their likes and dislikes.
They already have so much themselves.
Yeah.
And it does not mean, Like, you have to stick a finger in the butt if that's what they want. But it's like, do what you're comfortable with.
Yeah.
And do what they're comfortable.
But don't be like, ew,
but don't
that
say
you're
ew.
gay or whatever.
Right.
Be like, or like, ew, that's smelly.
Yeah.
Just say like,
That's not for me.
I don't know if that's for me at this point, but maybe eventually down the line.
Right.
And then they know it's a maybe option.
Yeah. I feel like we've both gotten very much better
Yeah.
at like saying no in the right ways.
I also now like I'm trying to like consider like my boundaries a lot of the time, because Alex Fine was saying, she's like, I love checking my boundaries and pushing them sometimes. And like sometimes you set a boundary that like you think like that's my boundary forever. Somebody recently asked me, he was like, oh, would you ever lick a guy's butt? And I was like, you know what? Maybe. If they really wanted me to, if that really was gonna, and I cared about the person and I could get them to shower and maybe groom a bit, sure. Like, but yeah, it's about getting comfortable and not immediately being, oh no.
Right.
Like the answer at the end could be like, yeah, we've already showered and you're groomed and I'm still not ready for this. But maybe someday.
Yeah. And then with guys, effing up sex.
Effing up sex, we learned so much. Sometimes you just got to lick some balls.
So true.
Yeah. I actually was sucking on Ben's balls the other day. And he came like immediately, and I was like, "Oh well, now I know what to do if I want to finish things up quickly."
Yeah, the area between the butt and the balls.
I love to touch that area.
It's clean.
It's clean, but also like it kind of feels like you're like fingering a woman, even though like you're not. Like you're like between that area, so it's like the same like it makes me feel really like powerful and masculine.
Well. Yeah, I guess like having something literally in the palm of your hand.
Having somebody in the palm of my hand, yeah.
And that's like all it is or has to be sometimes.
Yeah,
like,
but and you can have
just
the other
in your
member
hand.
in your other hand,
Yeah.
and then be. I feel like a pro sometimes.
Also with that episode, just the fact that boys fake it.
Yes. Oh my God. Yeah, I knew that somebody had faked it on me before, and maybe I shouldn't have called them out in that way, but.
We're learning.
But we're learning. And it was interesting to be like, yeah, sometimes guys just want to get it over with or like can't get there.
Finish, yeah.
Yeah.
But they shouldn't feel ashamed. They shouldn't fake it. We shouldn't fake it.
No.
It's doing nobody
any
help.
services.
Yeah. And I guess, we did learn from Dan also about porn.
Yeah.
He gave us great porn tips.
Yeah. That was a boundary that I thought was closed off to me too this year, was porn. Because last year I was like, I tried it, I watched it, didn't like it or whatever. And then this year we had audio porn. Dan Savage suggesting gay porn. What was another one that Logan being like a for her centric porn star and that type of porn, and Tyler Nixon and Danny Wilde. Like those are all things that we've had people write in being like, I thought I didn't like porn. I finally found porn I like.
Yeah, they're like, Jesus, Logan and Tyler.
But I feel the same way.
Yeah.
Like it's,
like you don't know also. And I just, from like Dan's comment about mutual masturbation too.
Oh my God. Wait, so remember on our I Came episode, we were talking to Christina Hutchinson and Corinne from Guys We Fucked. And Christina was saying how mutual masturbation can be really fun. And I remember just going, oh, I'm not there yet.
Yeah.
I'm there yet, you guys.
Woo!
I love it now. That's one of my favorite things, you know. I'm to just start going to town and then watch them and
It's
maybe switch
incredible.
hands and yeah.
Like it, at first we thought it would be insulting, but it's not.
No.
Dan was like, watch any gay porn. Everyone is like jerking themselves off at the same time, and that's not an insult. It's to keep it going, keep everyone going.
Yeah, there was some idea too when guys used to ask me, like in college, they'd be like, oh, play with your pussy for me or whatever. And I was like, ew, I don't want to play with it for you. But if I'm playing with it for me and you happen to be there, that's different.
So true. Oh, yeah. I guess your porn journey has changed a lot.
It has. And then there's also, I guess I've realized that you don't always need to be heightening, like, especially from all these questions that are like, oh, like,
What's next?
What's next? Like, I'm very comfortable right now. I don't want to say plateauing, but like, I feel like I've climbed up this little mountain. I'm looking over this scenic view. I'm enjoying the view. You know, I'm not being like, what's up higher? right now. I'm really enjoying where I am on this little mountain.
Don't touch the sun, Icarus.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah,
enjoy it.
I'm enjoying it.
Yeah.
And if I do, like, I know eventually I'm going to get tied to a bed and hit and something, you know, like, but right now I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm feeling happy.
But it's incredible because, like, I don't know, you were so not anti-porn, just like, not for me, you know?
Not for me. No.
Like, you just kind of have to explore it.
Yeah.
And not be judgmental of it or yourself.
Mm-hmm. Well, that was a huge thing. I was like, ew, I'm a porn watcher now, like back in the day. And now I'm like, no, I'm a porn I mean, like, sometimes I like porn and sometimes I want to have carrots with ranch. You know, those are things that I like.
On the mountain with the view.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, you don't even know what you like until you see it half the time, so.
Mm-hmm. I thought a huge takeaway, from this season was Carly Shortino and Buck Angel both talking pussy power.
Oh my gosh,
and how it's been so hard for all of us to go from growing up thinking that vaginas were disgusting to this past 2 years being like, pussy power, everything's amazing, glorious, beautiful, love it, suck on it, life forever. It's a transition, but it was so cool to see such two different people coming from two different experiences and both now very comfortable with themselves and embracing their power so much. And me just being like, yeah, those are thoughts that I had exactly.
Yeah, like, we are all slowly but surely learning and changing and
unlearning.
And unlearning, 100%.
Yeah.
She Comes First is a great takeaway.
It's a good episode.
Confessions of a Premature Ejaculator.
Yeah.
That was his first chapter.
Yeah.
Dr. Ian Kerner.
Do you know what I liked the best from that episode was spontaneous versus responsive desire?
Yes.
Because I had really been struggling and in previous relationships with being the one who's always initiating sex and like thinking that the other person has like a lower sex drive or whatever. And when he explained that guys, like, usually their desire is spontaneous, but after a while it becomes responsive where you have to be the one initiating and their response is still valid. Even if they don't boing at you, when you initiate and they go boing, that is not less valid. They are still into you. I was getting nervous. I was like, he doesn't care. No, they care.
Yeah.
They still want to fuck you.
Yeah. And I think I also thought it was, I think we always had this idea that spontaneous was the right way and the only way, you know, this immediate attraction of boing. And it's like,
I see you, I'm attracted to you, I have a boner.
But often, like he was saying, you have to create the atmosphere for something sexy.
Yeah.
And then that spontaneous boing can happen.
Boing.
Boing.
But yeah, I also love that episode just because he talks about like his issues are the things that led him to being like a master cunnilingus expert.
Yeah.
You know, so it's kind of like when you go blind and how your sense of smell gets really good.
Yeah.
If you prematurely ejaculate, you get better at other areas of sex if you work on it.
Totally.
Yeah.
And often just, I guess the whole takeaway, I guess, of that book was like the fucking title. She comes first. Like, she has to come first often because, you know why? Because
because the boys pass out, and once you're done, you're done.
Or they come in 30 seconds.
Yeah, like, come on. I mean, no, let us come on.
Let us come on.
Then you come on.
And then two great episodes.
Okay, yeah. One of my favorite episodes this season, I think, was Human Prozac, definitely, with Helen Fisher. Yeah, just talking about how love is a drive, not an emotion or whatever. And like, whether you feel that or you don't feel that, it was just the takeaways of how to cope with a breakup, how to actually like heal yourself, go getting hugs from other people when you want a hug instead of that person that you're pining for, having a conversation. Like, she just gave so many good tips and so many good reasons for maybe why you haven't found the right one.
Yeah, biological.
Yeah.
Neuro reasons.
Yeah.
Like, and delete everything of them.
Oh, well, yeah. That's
what she said.
Did she say that?
Yeah, she said she deleted everything when her and her ex broke up. And she was so cool. And you don't have those feelings and reminders and awful things, and you get your affection and oxytocin and dopamine boost from other people, and then he came back running back and they're happier than ever.
That though also reminded me of like my dating tips. Remember my dating tips? Date like you have a boyfriend. It was just all ways to like kind of make yourself less addicted to a person, because love is an addiction. When you start texting somebody, you get addicted. You got to delete those messages. Otherwise, you go back, you read into them. Only tell one friend if you have a crush. Otherwise, you start telling everyone. It becomes a story before it's a real relationship.
Yeah, it's just that even that muscle memory is telling your body that you care. Like if you're rereading the conversation, you might develop feelings that you didn't even have.
If you have a lot of photos with them or whatever, it's easy to go back and look at all those and remember. Maybe delete them or put them in a folder. When I broke up with my ex, I took everything down. I put everything that we ever had in one folder. I took it off my computer. I gave it to Charlotte. I was like, if I ever want to look at this, like, give it to me, but don't give it to me. Yeah, try to wean yourself off the addiction.
Yeah, and then another amazing like episode with 2 unreal women.
Oh, pleasure mechanics.
Yep.
Yeah, I loved Anal 101. And I think we specifically chose to do Anal 101 with 2 women because the whole takeaway wasn't, this is how you have anal so your boyfriend can fuck a smaller hole. It was, this is how you use your butthole to make you happy.
Yep.
Your butt is for your pleasure, not just for somebody else to enjoy. Man, I love that episode.
Same. It's so crazy to me because like I feel like when I was in high school or anything about the butt, like we would have conversations like anal, ew, you know, and they put it so simply, like it's a part of your body that's next to your vulva and or your penis, and they're all related and they have great feelings and it's not for another person.
Yeah, it's for you. Who knew?
Who knew? Who knew?
So yeah, I think those were our favorite takeaways from the season.
There's so many. It's
There's
hard to
so
choose.
many. Yeah. Some of my favorite takeaways were from Patreon episodes. So hopefully if you guys join the patreon.com/howcome, you can listen to those.
Oh yeah, please do.
We can talk about those things too, because there's such good stuff. That's the fucked up thing about the Patreon is I'm like, I want everyone to be able to listen to it.
I know.
Because it is such good content.
But we also
need to make money.
Yeah.
Sorry. So go to Patreon or buy some merch. So you get we've got sweatshirts, hats.
Yeah. Or any of the things on our partner page.
Yeah.
Like it all helps us out and you get cool shit.
Yeah. Sharp our partners. They're the best. One of my favorite things to wear every day is one of our partners' things. And we haven't talked about it on the podcast at all, but we should. It is the Althea Clit Necklace by Britta M. Bowen. I wear it every day. It reminds me of the magical structure of the clitoris, which was, I think, the biggest thing that blew my mind in season 1 was just figuring out that the clit goes all the way back into your body and around the vaginal opening.
Yeah, and then another amazing...
Every vulva orgasm is a clitoral orgasm.
Yes.
Whether it's from the outside touching that little iceberg or it's from the inside. If it's from the inside and you're either hitting the clit from the G spot, a different place, or if it's vaginally, it just means that your clit is closer to the vagina than most women's, and that gets you in that 8 to 25%, which is crazy. Anyway, we love our Althea Clit necklaces. Charlotte and I wear them like every day. And she is not speaking up right now because she's in the other room telling them to be quiet. But she agrees with me. And yeah, you can get all of the Britta M. Bowen jewelry for 15% off by shopping our partners. Not just the clit necklace. It's really beautiful, beautiful stuff. The clit thing, so pretty. And then other stuff that isn't like, oh, look, it's a clit. It's just like amazing. I mean, nobody would know that it was a clit because it's shaped like horseshoe. So, anyway. Okay. We also have a bunch of episodes coming up. I know this sounds like it's the end of the season. It is not. Don't worry. We still have 5 more episodes this season. Hooray, before we are closed. But you guys have sent in some really good ideas for future episodes. And we're going to either do them during this season or next season. But just know that they are coming. We are going to be talking about pegging. We are going to be talking about STDs. We're going to be talking about grooming. We're going to be talking about open relationships, periods, and losing your orgasm. I can't wait to talk periods because I'm using a new thing.
And we will talk about that another time.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you have questions about any of those specific things, just know the episodes are coming.
Yeah, and you can still send them in, but they're coming.
Yes. Rem, I think it's time.
Is it time?
I mean, first of all,
yeah.
Where can people find you?
Oh, Thanks. Okay, you can listen to my podcast, How Come?
Heard of it?
Heard of it?
Yeah,
it's
once.
on iTunes and
YouTube
and anywhere.
What about Spotify?
And Spotify, yeah.
Oh, cool. Okay.
My other podcast, We Really Love Island, is also on those platforms. You can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Remy Casimir. Follow the podcast, How Come Podcast, on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and We Really Love Island on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And also, if you want to come see me do some shows, RemyCasimir.com. If you want to see our live podcast dates, HowComePodcast.com. Oh, no. I think live podcast dates are going to be on my website, too. But maybe on How Come Podcast, too. It should be on both.
Yeah.
That first live pod in the city at the stand will be August 14th, Wednesday, 7 p.m. So get your tickets.
Yeah, and the last one we did is on Patreon.
Yes, it is.
Get over there.
Yep, that was at Stand Up New York. And what else?
I don't know, but it was so nice having you here.
Oh my God, thank you so much for having me.
All right, I have to go though.
Okay,
because
why?
I need to see Alita.
See what?
Alita, my friend.
See you later.
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 I could say this all day.
See you later.
It's like that. What's that thing when you say It's like the Jamaican accent.
Oh, beer can in a British accent.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
What is it?
You say beer can in a British accent, and it sounds like bacon in a Jamaican.
Beer can.
Beer can.
Beer can.
Beer can.
Beer can.
Beer can.
Beer
can.
All right, I have two things to say all day now.
Yeah. Charlotte, where can people follow you?
You can follow me at Charcastic on Instagram and Twitter.
Are you going to be public on Instagram from now on?
I am not, but I accept companions.
Okay.
And Twitter, I am public.
Good.
So, the big question of the day.
Mm.
Remy, did you finish?
Yes, very many times. But I can't wait to finish some more.
Great.
Was that a good answer? I don't know. I feel like I'd be disappointed in a guest for giving that answer.
Listen, girls are multi-orgasmic.
That's true. Yeah, I'm never done.
We're never
I'm
done.
never done.
Oh, like Dan said, we're the insatiable sex.
Yes. Charlotte, did you finish?
Oh, I'm never done.
I'm never done. We're never
Insatiable,
done.
baby.
We're insatiable.
Yeah, so we will be back next week.
Yes.
Oh, I guess. All right, see you later.
All right. See you later.
Be again.
See you later, Biakan.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me. And we'll see you next
Bye.
time. And How Come? Goodbye.
It's not you, it's me. Theme song.
It's not you, it's me. I try so hard to finish honestly. They say you'll know when you go all the way from A right down to O. Oh no, I think that I've still got a ways to go. Oh, I'm sick of this and I have got to know. How come? How come? How come I can't achieve? How come I can't achieve? I'm rolling up my sleeves. I'm rolling up my sleeves. Oh baby, I believe these guests can help. 'Cause I can't do it by myself. I wanna just